Welcome back to RegTalkUK, the podcast that helps UK banking professionals stay sharp, stay informed, and stay ahead of regulation. I'm Alex.
And I'm Jamie, and what a week it has been.
It really has. The sheer volume of, digital parchment coming out of Canary Wharf and Westminster this February is just staggering.
Staggering is definitely the word. If you step back from the individual consultation papers, a very clear, really quite menacing theme emerges.
Right, the pincer movement.
Exactly, the pincer closes. On one flank, you have the regulator significantly tightening the perimeter on market entry, making it much harder to just outsource your compliance.
And then on the other flank, you have this distinct contraction in retail innovation. It is almost like a lack of coordination between the tax authorities and the conduct regulators.
Yeah, the industry is being squeezed between higher liability barriers and much narrower operational lanes. The era of move fast and break things in UK fintech is, it is being legislated out of existence.
Which is exactly why we are doing this deep dive today. We have a heavy agenda for you. We are dissecting the Treasury's assault on the appointed representatives regime.
Which looks very much like the death knell for regulatory hosting.
Spot on. We are also analyzing the radical changes to credit data sharing, the rules that threaten the Big Three's business model.
We also need to get into the messy situation with crypto ISAs. And of course, that £2.4 billion administration that serves as a really brutal lesson in counterparty risk.
Plus the T+1 settlement acceleration and why AI vendor risk is now a geopolitical issue.
There's a lot to get through.
Let us start with the most significant structural change. On February 12th, Treasury dropped the consultation on the appointed representatives, or AR regime.
Right. For years, the AR model has been the standard market entry route. You are a new fintech, you find a principal, you piggyback on their license, and you launch.
It was essentially the regulatory hosting model.
And let us be honest, it became a commodity. You paid a monthly fee, you get a regulatory badge, and often the principal firm had absolutely no idea what you were actually doing day to day.
So the Treasury has decided that the gap between having a license and renting a license is just too wide. They're bringing in a principal permission gateway.
Which is not just a simple notification exercise anymore.
No, not at all. It is a fundamental shift.
Historically, if you were authorized, you had the inherent right to appoint an AR. That right is gone. Going forward, acting as a principal becomes a specific permissioned activity.
You actually have to apply to the FCA for the right to host.
Exactly.
But for the 2,400 firms currently acting as principals, overseeing those 34,000 ARs, there is a grandfathering clause, right?
Yes, they get deemed permission initially, but if you read the consultation, it is clearly a trap for the complacent.
How?
Well, deemed permission stops immediate market paralysis. But the consultation is extremely explicit that permission is revocable. The FCA is reserving the power to review your oversight framework, and if it is weak, they just strip the permission away.
Which instantly unauthorizes every single AR attached to you.
Absolute chaos. I suspect we are going to see a wave of Section 166 reviews targeting principal firms very soon.
Sending in the skilled persons.
Right. And if those oversight files are empty, the permission goes. But the real sting here, the thing you really need to pay attention to, is the liability shift.
The personal liability shift. They were bringing ARs fully into the senior management.
The AR regime is dead.
Cryptolize is our trap.
We have to warn everyone
before it's too late.
Entirely. The FCA wants to create a dedicated AR senior management function within the principal firm.
So if you take that job, you are the accountable executive. You are personally, legally liable for the conduct of the firms you are hosting.
You become the de facto regulator for your ARs.
Which completely changes the commercial calculus. Who is going to want that SMF role? And what does it do to the cost of doing business?
It sends costs into the stratosphere. Professional indemnity insurance premiums for principal firms are going to double, maybe triple. The insurers can see the liability shift just as clearly as we can.
And the due diligence required.
It can no longer be a box-ticking exercise. So that business model of hosting someone for $2,000 a month, it is dead. The margin simply will not cover the risk.
We are looking at massive consolidation, though.
Huge. The barrier to entry for new fintechs just got a 10-foot wall built on top of it.
There is also a major consumer protection angle to this reform. The jurisdiction of the Financial Ombudsman Service, the FOS, is being extended.
Yes, this closes a very specific legal loophole. Currently, under Section 39(3) of FSMA, if a principal can prove the AR was acting outside their agency agreement, the principal is not liable.
Leaving the consumer completely stuck.
Exactly. The reform allows the FOS to investigate the AR directly as a last resort. It plugs the gap, but it just adds another layer of risk to the whole ecosystem.
The deadline for this consultation is April 9th, 2026.
Which is very soon. If you sit on the board of a principal firm, do not wait for the deadline. If you cannot see exactly what your ARs are doing in real time today, you are already non-compliant under the proposed rules.
Okay, let us move to the second arm of this pincer movement. While the Treasury tightens entry, the FCA is fundamentally rewriting the rules on how credit data moves.
The Credit Information Market Study, CP26/7.
This is a direct assault on the data oligopoly of the big three, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion.
And the mechanism they are using is mandatory data sharing.
Right, so if a lender shares consumer credit info with one designated consumer credit reference agency, they must share it with all of them.
It sounds highly technical, but the commercial impact is vast. The big three have maintained dominance because of their data moats, exclusive or near-exclusive relationships with certain lenders.
And this proposal just drains the moat entirely.
It evaporates their competitive advantage overnight. It forces the democratization of the data pool. If you are a challenger CRA, this is a massive win. You get access to the same data pool by law.
Level playing field. But there are serious operational headaches for the banks here.
Oh, massive headaches.
The 14-day dispute SLA really stood out to me.
That is the part that will terrify heads of operations. Under these rules, if a consumer disputes an entry, say an incorrect default notice, the lender has a strict 14-day deadline to investigate and respond.
14 days is nothing. For a Tier 1 bank with legacy infrastructure, that is a panic attack.
Completely. Think about their architecture. A customer's mortgage data is on a mainframe from the 80s. The credit card data is on a separate system. The current account is somewhere else entirely.
They rarely have a single customer view.
So to investigate a Section 159 dispute in 14 days, you need fully integrated data. This compliance requirement is actually a massive IT transformation project in disguise.
And if they miss the deadline, it is a direct breach. There is also the issue of satisfied county court judgments, the CCJs.
The burden is shifting there as well. Historically, the consumer had to run around telling the courts they had settled their debt. Now, the firm has to do it.
Lenders must proactively notify the registry trust.
It is another manual process that compliance teams have to automate, or it will fail. And overseeing all of this will be the new Credit Information Governance Body.
The CIGB, which is supposed to be operational by summer 2026.
Right, to oversee common data formats. We are moving from a proprietary world to a standardized utility world. Long-term, it is better, but the transition costs will be brutal.
Consultation closes on May 1st, 2026. Mark your calendars.
If you're finding this useful, don't forget to follow RegTalkUK on Spotify or subscribe on YouTube. It really helps us reach more banking professionals like you.
Now let us talk about the rug pull we mentioned in the intro. The crypto ISA trap.
This is a masterclass in the left hand and the right hand not talking to each other.
To set the scene, the FCA recently lifted the ban on crypto exchange-traded notes, or CETNs, for retail investors.
The whole narrative was about supporting UK growth, embracing digital assets.
The conduct regulator opened the door, but then HMRC stepped in and effectively bricked it up.
They ruled that from April 6, 2026, these assets are no longer eligible for standard stocks and shares ISAs.
They are restricted purely to innovative finance ISAs, the IFASs.
Which sounds like a simple reclassification, just move it to a different wrapper.
Right, but the reality is a market failure.
Exactly, because no mainstream DIY platform, not Trading 212, not Freetrade, not Fidelity, holds IFISA permissions.
Those permissions sit with peer-to-peer lenders.
And those peer-to-peer lenders do not list London Stock Exchange traded notes. It is a Venn diagram with absolutely zero overlap.
So the wrapper that allows the asset does not exist on the platforms that trade the asset.
Meaning you cannot do an in-specie transfer. There is nowhere to send the assets.
Which creates a forced selling event hard-coded into the tax calendar. No grandfathering at all.
Platforms are going to be forced to sell client positions just to comply. It is manufactured consumer harm. Pure rule design risk.
HMRC says they will keep it under review.
Which is just a polite excuse for a U-turn later. But right now, it forces platforms to potentially crystallize losses for clients. It is the UK's digital asset strategy eating itself.
Let us move to story 4. A very sobering warning on counterparty risk. Market Financial Solutions, MFS, has entered administration.
This is a major event. MFS is a specialist bridging lender. They had a peak loan book of £2.4 billion. 18 years of trading history.
When a lender fails, the immediate assumption is bad loans. But that is not what happened here.
No. The founder, Presh Raja, says the business is fundamentally sound. The administration was caused by a procedural and technical impasse with their banking provider.
Which is a very diplomatic way of saying their funding line got pulled.
Precisely. In specialist lending, liquidity is oxygen. It does not matter how good your loan book is if your banking partner turns off the tap.
Now, there are allegations swirling. Raja is reportedly in Dubai. There is talk of suspicion of fraud, double pledging of assets.
We have to stick to the facts we have. But regardless of the specific allegations, the structural lesson for risk managers is vital.
Your banking relationship is a bigger risk factor than your loan book.
By far. If you are a principal overseeing ARs or an aggregator, you must audit the funding stability of your partners. Who provides their facility? Is it committed?
Because credit risk takes months to go bad, liquidity risk kills you in an afternoon.
Absolutely right.
Let us move into our quick hits round. Rapid-fire updates on the wider landscape. First, Nikhil Rathi's speech at Goldman Sachs.
The quantitative trading renaissance.
He confirmed the UK is moving to T+1 settlement by October 2026.
The regulator wants the market to go faster, but you have to connect that to the £27.7 million fine they just handed to Citigroup.
For the fat finger error.
Right. A $1.4 billion erroneous trade caused by systems failures. The message is clear. Go faster, hit T+1, but if your controls do not keep up with that speed, we will punish you severely.
Speed requires better brakes. Next up, Anthropic versus the U.S. Department of Defense.
Dario Amodei is refusing to remove ethical safeguards from the Claude AI model for autonomous weapons and mass surveillance.
And the Department of Defense is threatening to use the Defense Production Act to force them. Why should a UK bank care about this?
Vendor dependency risk. If your operational resilience relies on an AI model that suddenly becomes a pawn in U.S. geopolitics, you have a massive problem. You are integrating a contested national security asset, not just a software tool.
Which links nicely to the SaaSpocalypse.
Yes, OpenAI and Anthropic launching agentic AI designed to replace traditional software seats, like Salesforce or Workday.
The market just wiped $1 trillion off SaaS valuations.
Because if an AI agent can do the job, you do not need the software license. For banks, this is a third-party risk nightmare. What happens to your critical processes if your SaaS vendors get financially disrupted?
Finally, Jamie Dimon's bubble warning.
Dimon is warning that banks are doing dumb things to chase yield right now. He's comparing the current market mood to the pre-2008 era.
The AI hype is real, but the leverage and the risk management behavior are starting to look very familiar.
When the CEO of JP Morgan says it feels like 2008, you put it on the board agenda.
Okay, let us wrap this up with our recap. The operationally urgent takeaways for you this week.
Number 1, AR reform. The principal permission gateway means the death of regulatory hosting. The shift to personal liability for senior managers is massive. Consultation closes April 9th.
Number 2, credit information. Mandatory data sharing breaks the big three's monopoly, but that 14-day dispute SLA is a huge operational threat. Consultation closes May 1st.
Number 3, the crypto ISAT trap. HMRC's IFISA restriction creates a forced selling event on April 6th.
Number 4, MFS administration. A £2.4 billion lesson that your banking relationships are your single biggest point of failure.
And finally, T+1 settlement is coming in October, and AI vendor risk is escalating rapidly.
Which brings us to our final thought for you to mull over. We have seen a massive theme of liability shifting today, from the firm to the individual senior manager, from the consumer to the data ops team. The regulator is systematically destroying the ability to just outsource your responsibility.
They really are.
So the question you need to ask your executive team this week is this. If the rent-a-license model is dead, do we actually have the internal capability to manage our own risks, or did we outsource our brains alongside our processes?
A very uncomfortable question to ask.
That's all from us this week. Thanks for listening to RegTalkUK. Until next time, stay sharp and stay compliant.